Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories. Showband star Brendan Boyer has died at the age of 81. Waterford Oireachtas members have sought an urgent meeting with the presidents of WIT and IT Carlow. There were no confirmed cases of coronavirus at University Hospital Waterford last night. And in sport, the game in which Liverpool clinched the Premier League title is set to be played at a neutral venue. Tributes are being paid to Waterford showband star Brendan Boyer, who's died at the age of 81. Waterford Council has opened a book of condolences online. WLR's Emer McKeown has more.
Come on, everybody, let's go down memory lane.
Legendary entertainer Brendan Boyer passed away in Las Vegas last evening. The singer, who had 6 #1 hits, was surrounded by his family. His wife of 53 years, Stella, his 3 children, Brendan Jr., Aisling and Clodagh, and his 2 grandchildren, Liam and Nora Stella. In a statement on social media, Brendan's family say he had been hoping to get back to his homeland one last time. Brendan Boyer began his career with Waterford's Royal Show Band, the first Irish band to top the Irish charts. Their biggest hit came in 1965 with the Hucklebuck, which went platinum internationally. He then fronted the Big Eight, a band which split its time between Ireland and Las Vegas. Brendan permanently relocated to Las Vegas in the 1970s and continued a successful career there. He came back to Ireland from time to time to perform gigs, sometimes with his daughter Aisling by his side. In 2011, he was awarded the Freedom of the City of Waterford, along with Val Doonican. At the ceremony, he told the audience what he thought was the secret to the success of his greatest hit.
There was the question of the Hucklebuck, which I get all the credit for these days, up to the time of Crystal Swing anyway. But it was the Royal Show Band. We did that in Abbey Road in London. We did it in one take. Actually 2, because I double-tracked and the boys clapped hands and shouted, hey, the second time around. But because of that being done live and in one take, it was the party atmosphere on that sound that made it what it was.
Tributes are pouring in for the Waterford icon. Speaking to Damien Tiernan on Daysha today, WLR's Matt Keane says Elvis was a big fan of Brendan's.
Such a humble, lovely man. He was just a gorgeous man, but a fantastic singer. In my opinion, the greatest showband singer of all time. 1971, Brendan and Tom Dunphy formed the Big Eight and they went off to America and they were playing out in Las Vegas one night, and Elvis heard about this Irish singer and he said, I have to go in, I heard this guy is good, and he was bowled over. And that famous photograph, I have it autographed down in my room, Elvis and Brendan Boyer together.
The Mayor of Waterford, John Pratt, says Brendan was a true Waterford man and his career put Waterford on the international map. A book of condolences is open online on Waterford Council's website.
Waterford Oireachtas members are calling on the presidents of WIT and IT Carlow to meet them to discuss the South East Technological University. The application for TU status is yet to be submitted. Last June, a memorandum of understanding agreed by management at the colleges was rejected by unions in Carlow. Waterford Sinn Féin TD David Culnan says he's written to the presidents to ask for an urgent meeting.
We met them just after the most recent general election, but we need to put as much pressure on as possible because I think it's just absolutely unacceptable. A region that suffers disproportionately in relation to unemployment, still has one of the highest unemployment rates in the country, suffers because of educational disadvantage that we don't have a university. That this region again will be the last one to see any real progress on the technological university. The presidents of the 2 institutes need to spell out to Oireachtas members very clearly what the hold-up is, how they are fixing it and how quickly they can proceed with this.
There's no cases of COVID-19 at University Hospital Waterford, according to the HSC. The executive's daily operations update shows there were no confirmed cases of the virus on site as of 8 o'clock last night. 4 patients were awaiting the results of testing. The Education Minister is coming under pressure to clarify when and how schools will reopen. It's after Joe McHugh gave mixed messages about the issue yesterday, as Andrew Louth reports.
Last night on Primetime, Minister Joe McHugh said he wouldn't accept a half return to school in September September. However, it seemed to contradict a statement he made earlier in the day in which he said it was hard to see all students back in school for the new term. The Department of Education is working on new proposals on when and how schools will reopen, something Sinn Féin's Donncha O'Leary believes should have been done sooner.
We're now at the 29th of May, and the fact that we're only having preliminary meetings. There were no, as far as I'm aware, no papers on the table. There is no specific proposal from the department. I don't think that's good enough.
It's not just Sinn Féin seeking clarity, with the Labour Party also looking for information on the impact it will have on teacher numbers. However, parents are also waiting to find out if they'll need to make more arrangements in September. Tanya Ward from the Children's Rights Alliance says many are currently struggling to mix their work with helping their children.
2 parent and 1 parent families who are working are also really struggling at the moment and are very stressed, and people are just crying out for schools or some activities to be opened up.
The Minister did not respond to requests for comment.
A spokesperson for Tramore, Orna Lai, has appealed to people not to jump off cliffs and into the sea. It's after an incident at Newtown Cove yesterday in which a young male was injured. Paul Toohey says people jumping off cliffs is a regular occurrence.
A couple of our crew members who swim regularly were out there last night and said there was quite a lot of people out around the whole Newtown area, whether it be over the top of Newtown Cove or out further towards the Metalman, all jumping off cliffs, which is, as I said, is craziness. One slip, one little gust of wind can set you onto the rocks and doesn't bear thinking about.
He says the diving platforms are in the area for a good reason.
The platform, they were built with the tidal variations in mind. They wouldn't be over high to jump into when the tide is, mid-tide or high tide. So they're fine. But, jumping off a cliff, it seems to be a rite of passage that's going on within some kids. To actually go and jump off a cliff. But, as I said, one gust of wind, one slip on the top of the cliff, anything like that can just put you onto the rocks. And as I said, it doesn't bear thinking about cliffs around here, anywhere from 80 to 120 feet high.
A West Waterford councillor says Gardaí need to monitor car parks at scenic areas. Car parks and outdoor spaces and tourism sites have reopened under Phase 1 of the government's roadmap. Independent Seamus O'Donnell says the car parks at Ardmore Beach and Colligan Wood are full and social distancing isn't possible.
Car park at Ardmore should not be open because Ardmore is a small village. Yesterday I drove over there and there were 25 cars there, and there weren't Irish cars, a lot of them were English cars. Now, I know myself, with the past 8 or 9 weeks going back, the position that parents are in with young families and that, but they want to get them out in the sun and the air, but they're coming from everywhere going in there now at the moment. I would advise the Garda Síochána to come into Ardmore and stay there, and anyone that's coming from beyond the 5 miles to turn them back.
The developer behind the North Quays project in Waterford says they hope to have full planning permission by mid-July at the latest. In late February, Waterford Council requested further information from Falcon Real Estate on their planning application for the development that was received earlier this month. Rob Cass from Falcon spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daisha today.
The planning is in now and further information, which is you'd expect at the moment. It's a massive scheme, so we'd expect to get planning on North Quays. It's a strategic development zone, which means it was granted outline planning 2 years ago. And then it was just effectively putting all the detail to the boxes, as I call them. Now that planning will be granted, we hope, and we plan on it being mid-July worst case. So we will have planning. And effectively we've had planning for 2 years. This is just confirming that all the designs match what the plans were back 2 years ago.
A red forest fire warning has been issued for the bank holiday weekend, the most extreme warning level. It follows high temperatures this week, which are set to continue over the next few days. People are being urged not to light fires or barbecues on forest lands and other high-risk areas. It comes after fire crews from Tramore and Dunmore East tackled a number of blazes at Brownstown Head yesterday morning.
WLR Sport, Ireland's local station of the year.
Starting with soccer, the game in which Liverpool clinched the Premier League title is set to be played at a neutral venue at the behest of British police. This is to stop crowds gathering outside Anfield. Up to 6 matches may be moved once the season resumes in June, including Manchester City's game with Liverpool and the Merseyside derby. In rugby, former Ireland rugby coach Joe Schmidt has spoken of feeling refreshed as he weighs up his next challenge in rugby. Schmidt's Irish tenure ended in disappointment at last year's World Cup after he guided Ireland to 3 Six Nations titles and his Grand Slam. He told OTBAM that he feels like his old self.
It has been great to step away, to take a nice deep breath and feel a little bit more re-energised. I felt by the time I got to the World Cup, I'd had a few, I'd been back and forth to New Zealand 3 times in a short period of time. I really did feel that my energy levels weren't where they'd been. And I feel that they are certainly back now after being locked up for 10 weeks.
And in Gaelic Games, the GAA say they won't be rushing to return to staging matches or allowing facilities to open before July 20th, unless it's safe to do so. President John Horan says the 2-metre rule around social distancing remains a big hurdle when it comes to playing contact sport. WLR asking you to stay at home. Our next bulletin is at 2.